February the 25th, 2023. Guys, a little bit of information I'd like to share with you here this afternoon. It's 5:25 p.m. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I wouldn't mind trying to work on at least a couple of chapters of the book of Revelation a little later. This is very important, though, especially for people that were downwind of the event that happened in Palestine. Now, this is a few years ago, and it actually points out how long that the problems with dioxin have been around, really much longer than this. If anybody wants to look up a great tragedy that happened also with the same chemical ingredients, just check out what's called the Times Beach, Missouri incident. And that town had to be evacuated. They turned it into a park, which I wouldn't set foot in, but it's a big park right over the bridge there, that would be west of St. Louis on the old 66 and what's it called now, maybe 44, guys. But you know what I'm talking about. The same thing happened, but it wasn't that type of an accident. It was the fact that some chemicals were left with an old tank that had the dioxins in them. Then old oil got put into the tanks, and then this oil got sprayed around for weed control on the roads and in people's big horse arenas, things like that. Killed a lot of horses, killed a lot of people. Now it's just a park. They took the bridge down coming across the river there, and again, that's something everyone should know if you're traveling through there and want to pull off into that big park on the river. Deadly. And they're saying that they were talking about it back then. This was probably 30 or 40 years ago, something like that, maybe a little longer, that the toxins on the surface were gone after 3 or 4 years, I think it was. I'm not exactly sure. I've read so much this afternoon, but that when they dug down a little bit in the soil, 12 years later, they were still there. But there are some things that are out that could possibly help. We know there's damage done, and there's going to be some people suffering, and animals, and this may help animals too. But again, 2004, it says agri-food chemical. You can see from the names here, these are Japanese scientists. It said pigments in green tea leaves called Camellia sinensis suppress transformation of the oral hydrocarbon receptor induced by dioxin. In other words, it turns off your body's receptors to the dioxin and lets you get it out of your system. Now, in this abstract, it says environmental contaminants such as dioxins enter the body mainly through diet and cause various toxicities through transformation of the oral hydrocarbon receptors. You've got receptors on your tongue, you've got them in your brain, and all over. So they're talking about mainly through diet, and that can be because it's been contaminated. Also, if you have a big chemical explosion or leak, like we saw, you can breathe it in and get it on your skin. And there's various symptoms, burning, rashes, things like that, then cancer, slow death. They call it suicide by dioxin if you voluntarily get into this. Said we previously reported that certain natural flavonoids at the dietary level suppress the AHR transformation induced by 2,3,7,8 tetrachlorodibenzo-P-dioxin, called TCDD. Right here, guys. You saw this yesterday in Mike's video. He held up the chemical illustration of this TCDD. He said, in this study we identified lutein and chlorophyll A and B from green tea leaves as the novel antagonist for this AHR. Now, even here, and I know the original Native Americans used a lot of pine needles, and that tradition is held on here. I know in the South. I'm not sure about how far nationwide, probably pretty nationwide, but boiling down green pine needles gives you some of this chlorophyll A and B. And that, again, that's been handed down to this day. I know it is here in the South, probably everywhere. You have pine trees everywhere. And so we're going into, again, chlorophyll A and B, I think. But I would go along with this green tea thing. There's a couple other ones that we can look at. Some of this is technical. They're talking about the test and how much it inhibits the AHR receptors. And it says the gallocatchin. I'm trying to pronounce that. Gallate, which is the most abundant flavonoid in green tea leaves, also showed stronger suppressive effects than did other major tea components, with the IC50 value of 1.7 micrometers, I think. Thus, these pigments of green tea leaves have the potential to protect from dioxin toxicity through the suppression of AHR transformation. Let me say this to the farmers and pet owners out there. It may help them, because we've seen a lot of problems with that. Now, there's some similar articles that looks like it's by the same scientists and talking about black tea also. So, guys, if you're in that area, study this, get your black tea, green tea, other things that you might need, but share it with folks, okay? The black tea theaflavins suppress dioxin-induced transformation of the ARYL hydrocarbon receptor, same group. Black tea extract suppresses transformation of these hydrocarbon receptors induced again by dioxins. Catechins in tea suppress the activity of what's called cytochrome P450-1A1 through the ARYL hydrocarbon receptor activation pathway, and they did this testing rats in their livers. It's where it concentrated. Now, I hate people that take innocent animals and do these deadly tests on them. Let me just clear that up from right now. To me, they're the same as falsy. That being said, there's a lot of information here, okay? Don't throw it away because of that. I didn't. But that just tears against the fabric of my soul for innocent animals to suffer. If people weren't polluting the land, we wouldn't have to be dealing with dioxins to start with. Of course, it's for a lot of other things they do that for, and I agree with none of them. Just so we get that straight. But guys, let me get this up. It's over 7 minutes, not a long video, but you come here, do the research yourself, find out where you can order green tea, black tea, things like that, black tea extract. Now, a couple of other things we might want to just keep in the back of our mind is there's a couple of different, maybe 2 or 3 scenarios being played out in Palestine. One could be an eventual land grab, and it's set up to where if the EPA comes in, even if it's your fault or not, and cleans up your land, charges you $1 million to remove the soil or whatever, then if you don't have that money when they're through, the new laws they can take your land. Did you know that? They don't miss a lick, do they? Another scenario is that it is very highly toxic, and they don't want to talk about it. Thus, the mainstream media, and why Biden said he was not coming there, right? Nobody went down there until some people started pointing this out. J.D. Vance, Trump, other people. They committed dioxin suicide if they don't get help very quickly. But once that happened, a couple weeks later, they threw in one guinea pig named Pete the guinea pig. We can call him that now, okay? Pete the guinea pig, because these demons don't care anything about the people up under them, right? Pete, you're probably going to be in trouble yourself. And guys, it all leads back to something that goes back a long way in history, thousands of years. If one country was taken over by another country in battle or whatever, they would sometimes set up what was called the Dog King. You may have heard of this, right? And the Dog King would be a dog. In other words, say, I can't remember all the countries, but it's been going on for thousands of years, maybe over Norway or somewhere. One king defeated another king, and to insult and oppress the people in the country that was conquered, he would set a dog in as their king. The conqueror decides, the politicians, right? So it looks like the U.S. has been conquered. We may know where that came from, thanks to you know who and where's who. But the Dog King thing is what's happened here. The nation's been taken over. Military's been taken out. Things the last 2 years medicinally have been very chaotic, right? But the Dog King was just to let the conquered people realize how unimportant, or to make them feel unimportant, right? dog is smarter than you. Do you realize we not only have a dog king, but we have a dog kingdom? They can do anything they want to. We have been overtaken. We have been conquered. Now they've set up their dog king system to, and that's why they don't answer to anybody. That's why they don't care what they do. If they show up, if they don't show up, whatever, it's just the dumbest people they can get to put in place to make it just to suppress us and to oppress us mentally. And the fact that these are our leaders, man, you understand what I'm saying? This is what we're being led by. It's a psychology effect, but I think that's exactly what's happened. You can look up Dog King. There's been books wrote about it, and there's history about it going back, like I said, many years in different areas of the world. But anyway, I think we got a dog kingdom going on here, and you guys come in here, check out this green tea, black tea, and black tea extract. I'm not selling anything, not trying to. I'm trying to help some people possibly keep their health. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.